The person I decided to interview was Gina. She's 44 years old, and I met her when she started volunteering at Kathleen's Closet. So here's our interview that we did. How have relations between the races changed since you were my age, which wasn't that long ago?
Okay, so how are you?
I'm 15.
You're 15 and I'm 44.
Shh.
So that was like 29 years ago.
Sure it was.
Race relations have gotten a lot better because 30 years ago, I don't think we all knew how to interact well together. I think there was still a lot of
phone buzzing.
Disagreements between the races and discrimination between the races, and I think that's gotten a lot better in the past 30 years.
So I guess I would go with an example.
An example
that would never happen today.
Of what would never happen today?
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, I think the races kind of stayed separate. African Americans in the neighborhood stayed with the African American, and
everybody else stayed with everybody else.
Stayed with the Hispanics, and the whites stayed with the whites. And now today, everybody's kind of friends, and my kids have friends of all races, and they come over to our house, and that would have never happened when I was growing up. Other races wouldn't have been able to come to my house when I was growing up.
Hey, were there many races in the neighborhood where you grew up in?
Yes, I grew up in Philadelphia, in the Northeast, and there was probably... it was primarily white, but there was pretty much every race was represented in my neighborhood.
What was it like?
What was it like growing up there?
Yeah.
It was very separate, though. You didn't hang out with the Africans Americans or the Hispanics. You stayed with the white kids. I went to an all-white girls' school, pretty much. There was a couple, handful of people of other races there, but I think it was good because I got to see that other races existed. We got to see each other's cultures. We got to try to learn how to interact. Yeah. So it was good growing up there versus in a neighborhood that is just your race and your nationality. It was very mixed.
Did everyone get along? Like, did it seem, or was it like fighting?
I think so, but I think in Philly when I was growing up 30 years ago and different races it was originally a very Italian neighborhood, and when other races and nationalities started to move in, people of like my parents' generation didn't like it, but my generation, that we were just used to it because everybody lived on the same street and it was okay. Yeah. So I think for like my parents' generation it was kind of hard seeing the different races and nationalities coming into what was once, their neighborhood. But for the kids my age, we were fine with it.
I guess I don't even know. Neighborhood, school. So, yeah, I asked about school, didn't I?
No, I mentioned it earlier, but my school,
yeah.
I went to a Catholic grade school from kindergarten through 8th grade. And there was some other races there. Not a lot. And then for high school, I went to an all-girls Catholic school that was primarily white, not a whole lot of other races. Most of the kids in my neighborhood all kind of split up. We all went to like different schools because there were a lot of choices in Philly for schools to go to. So some went to public school, and there were a couple different public schools, and there were a lot of different races in the public school. And then there were a lot of private schools. And so you kind of all, like, split up and went to the school that you wanted to for high school. It wasn't like today where everybody goes to, like, the public school of their neighborhood. So, like, my kids' school is, like, every race is there. Asian, Hispanics, African Americans, every race. Whereas when I was growing up, a lot of those same races went to their private school, went to their schools. Like there was a Jewish school where a lot of the Jewish kids went to. There was a Catholic school where a lot of the Catholic kids went to. Whereas today, more kids just all go to public school and all the races are all there together. And it's fine.
Yeah.
My kids like it because that's the real world.
Yeah. Public school, Catholic school. Oh, I hate Catholic school.
Stop.
I did. Are there different races, like, where you work at?
Yes, so I work for the federal government, and so there's all kinds of different races. A lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of every type of race. We all work together. Everything's good.
Right. And, like, do you have, like, people that, like, come in to where you work? Like, customers?
Customers?
Or like, yeah, I didn't know what else to call.
So,
clientele.
our customers are more, since I work on air traffic control systems, our customers are more like the air traffic controllers, the people who
Are there different races, like, where you work at?
Yes, so I work for the federal government, and so there's all kinds of different races. A lot of women, a lot of men, a lot of every type of race. We all work together. Everything's good.
Right. And, like, do you have, like, people that, like, come in to where you work? Like, customers?
Customers?
Or like, yeah, I didn't know what else to call.
So,
clientele.
our customers are more, since I work on air traffic control systems, our customers are more like the air traffic controllers, the people who are using the systems that we're developing. And there's a lot of different races of air traffic controllers, too. So, everyone gets along and interacts. There is a lot of protections in the federal government so that you can't discriminate against people for races. So maybe that's why we get along, because we know
bad stuff.
You almost have to.
Yeah.
But I mean, the customers are all people who are using. We're not selling clothes, but we're selling our computer system to them to help make their jobs easier. So you have to interact with them to make sure you're giving them the product that they want, because they have to use it every day. And so you have to deal with every type of nationality of air traffic controller. Sometimes it's also like Europeans come in and look at what we have in our computer systems versus what they have. So you have to even deal with international clients. So you just have to deal with all different races and all different cultures, because a lot of cultures are different too and have different beliefs. Different religious backgrounds.
Yeah, and then that's it. So you survived.
I survived.
You
It was
survived.
easy.
Yay! Thank you, Gina.